never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Find another.
Welcome everyone, welcome everyone, welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. It is a hump day Wednesday, so of course we know that means it's time for another weekly top 10 countdown. But before I get into it, let me first say, while I'm thinking about it, that in yesterday's video, I was talking about us getting close to 1,000 subscribers and how it's gonna make our channel start showing advertisements. Well, today I want to let everybody know that in the future, my wife and I are hoping to get some better equipment to where we can go live a whole lot more, because I think going live can be a very helpful, because you can go live and have a certain topic in mind, but yet you can get all sorts of questions from the audience and start answering those questions and get sidetracked. And sometimes a video that you might think is going to last about 10 to 12 minutes may end up lasting 2.5 hours. But if you follow the channel, you know that I've gone live 4 or 5 times since we started the channel. But each time I've gone live, I've gone back and watched it, and there's just too many times that my voice sounds robotic and my face looks robotic and it pauses while I'm talking, and I just don't like that. So we are hoping that as the channel grows, we'll be able to buy some better equipment to where we can go live in the future and we won't have all of those problems, and it will sound just as good as it does right now. But on to today's top 10 countdown. This is kind of a part 2 or spinoff, if you will, from last week's top 10 countdown. Today we're going to be talking about the college football coaches with 100 or more career losses. Now, this article comes off of Wikipedia, and it was just updated 3 days ago, so that's about as new as you can get. But the article fully lists 20 coaches, but of course it's a top 10 countdown, so we're going to talk about 10 of them. Now, some of the ones that I think you may or may not have heard of, I'm going to tell you at least some of the places they coached at. But there's some coaches on here I won't have to. As soon as you hear their name, you're going to say, oh yeah, I know that guy. So in those situations, I'm not going to tell you who they coached, but I'm going to tell you how many career losses each coach had. Again, this is the college football coaches with at least 100 career losses. Number 10, Jess C. Neely, who coached at Rhodes, Clemson, and Rice, had a career record of 187 and 159. Number 9, Buddy Tevins, who most recently coached at Dartmouth, and he had 160 career losses to go along with 109 career wins, so he had a losing career record. Number 8, Eddie Robinson, 408 wins to go along with 167 losses. Number 7, Jimmy Laycock, who coached William and Mary, and he had 174 career losses to go along with 240 career wins. Number 6, Hayden Fry, and he had 178 career losses. And if you ever watched the old TV comedy from the early to mid 90s called Coach, that show was supposedly built around and was supposed to be about Hayden Fry. So if you ever watched Coach, you've heard that name many a times. Before we talk about the top 5, let's recap numbers 10 through 6. Number 10, Jess C. Neely. Number 9, Buddy Tevens. Number 8, Eddie Robinson. Number 7, Jimmy Laycock. And number 6, Hayden Fry. Number 5 on the list is Mike Price, and he had 183 career losses. But he too had a career losing record because he won 177 career games. Number 4, Bob Ford, who coached at St. Lawrence. He had 191 career losses. Number 3, Amos Alonzo Stagg Sr. He had 199 career losses. And the guys that came in number 2 and number 1 have more than 200 career losses. Number 2, Roland Ortmeyer, who coached Laverne, which is a school out in California. He had 183 career wins and 209 career losses. And number 1 is a guy that is still living. I believe he coached at 6 different schools. The most recent school he coached was Tennessee Tech, a small school in Cookeville, Tennessee. His career record was 136 wins and 211 losses. He coached Tennessee Tech up until 2015, and that's a record that more than likely nobody will ever come close to catching. Now, I'm sure that if you ask Watson Brown, he's going to say hopefully somebody does catch him, so he will no longer be the coach that has the most all-time career losses. But these coaches like Watson Brown and Roland Ortmeyer that had so many career losses, those are records you're probably never going to see get broken, because this day and time, schools just don't have the patience they had back then. Back in these days, in those days, you had a lot of coaches that would coach at a school for 8, 9, 10 years before they would even start winning. But the schools stuck with them, had patience with them, and let them build the program the way they wanted to. And it worked out in the end in most situations. But nowadays, it don't matter who you are, how long you've coached, and what school you're at. If you go to a school and you're not winning in 2 or 3 years, they're ready to get rid of you. You can look at college basketball and look at Mike Krzyzewski. When he left Army to become the Duke head coach, I believe his first 4 years, Duke was absolutely pitiful. I mean, they were terrible, and it looked like they made the worst decision in the world by hiring that guy, because they were terrible. I mean, they were an absolute hot trash garbage mess. But they stuck with him, let him build the program, and look what turned out. Nowadays, you go to a school and you have 4 straight bad seasons, you're out the door. So there's just no way anybody's ever going to get close to these records, because you might fail at one school for 3 or 4 years and get one more chance, but you go to that next school and you fail again, you're done. So there's just no way anybody's ever going to get close to these records. But it is interesting to look back and look and see how many coaches coached for a long time and how many of them were at one school for a long time. And you look at their record there and you're thinking, why in the world did that school keep him? But usually, in most situations, it always works out in the end. It's amazing how people had more patience back then than they do now. A lot of these schools now are absolute complete dumpster fires. And it doesn't matter who you hire, it's going to take them 4 or 5 years to turn things around. And the ADs and the fans just don't have the patience. So a lot of times you feel bad for the coach because the coach may end up being a good coach if he would get time. But a lot of times they just don't get time. Any thoughts on this countdown? Please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. What do you call a fake noodle? Impasta. And that wraps it up for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.